I'm going to say something that's kind of crazy and might shock you, but it's something you need to know. Astrology is actually really easy. Being able to make predictions is actually really easy. And I'm going to be talking about that in today's video, answering some common questions in regards to understanding your life's timing and being able to make your own life predictions. Let's get started. Hello, it's me, Helena, here in Paris. If you don't know me, I'm a traveling astrocartographer, traveling the world full-time, doing astrology readings, courses, my podcast, Cosmic Compass, and so much more. I also am an author, and I'm working on my second book as we speak. And if you haven't followed me over on Instagram, definitely go follow me over at Ms. Helena Woods. Okay, so I want to share with you guys a really easy way that you can understand astrology. Astrology is literally just filling in the blanks in terms of being able to remember archetypes and what it means when certain archetypes are with other archetypes. Literally, astrology is like math. It's like saying A plus B equals C. It's so easy, and I'm going to show you why this is. Here's an example. When you think of love and romance, what planet do you think of? I'll give you a second to think about it. Of all the planets that we have in astrology, do you think of when you think of love and romance? Do, 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 do. That's right, Venus. Venus is the planet of love and romance and values. And what do you value? What do you appreciate? What do you admire? What's your aesthetic, right? Venus is love and relationships. So let's say, for example, that you're going through a difficult time with your relationship. Maybe you're having a breakup, or maybe you're just getting really serious or having some challenges around romantic themes. Now, what planet do you think brings more themes around challenge and seriousness? I'll give you a second. Did you get it? Saturn. Saturn is the planet of restriction, delay, setbacks, challenge, and also getting more serious about something in your life. So what do you think is going to happen when Saturn is transiting over your Venus? That's right. You might have more challenges in regards to relationship themes, or you might be getting really serious about your partner and your relationship. This is how easy astrology is. It's knowing that planets represent certain things, and when they come together, or when a transiting planet is coming to another planet, it brings about a theme. Saturn, challenge. Venus, relationships. Challenges to relationships. Do you see how easy that is? Now, obviously, we can go a little bit deeper in this. For example, if you were an intermediate astrologer, you might be looking at house rulerships. You know, if Saturn was hitting your Venus, but your Venus rules your 11th house in your chart, then maybe you're having some challenges with friends or community or a social organization or membership that you're a part of, right? So there's a lot more detail, and that's kind of taking it to the next level, intermediate style. But the basics of astrology are super, super easy. It's super easy to make predictions and to time your life using astrology. I'll give you another example. Let's take it a step further using the house system in astrology. So the houses in astrology represent different areas of your life. The 12 sectors in astrology represent the different areas of your life. So let's say we want to talk about work and career. Well, the work houses, the two main ones are the 6th house and the 10th house. The 10th house is the house of career and public image. So what happens when Jupiter is going into your 10th house? So let's say you're ready for an expansion in your career. You're ready for more growth to be happening in your career. Now, what would be the first step to look at when we're looking at a chart? Let's take a second to think about this. Well, we'd be looking at the 10th house, right? Or the 6th house. But if we're talking about public image, career, reputation, your accomplishments and your achievements in life, we're going to be looking at the 10th house. So that's step one. When you pull up your birth chart, you're going to be looking at your 10th house. Now let's add the timing component. Let's say we're trying to predict when you're going to have some growth, abundance, and expansion, and maybe some luck in your career. What planet do you think we're going to be looking out for to see when it's transiting in the 10th house? I'll give you a second. That's right, Jupiter. When Jupiter's transiting through the 10th house, we're going to see themes about that. Do you see how easy astrology is? By remembering what the planets represent, what the houses represent, what the zodiac signs mean, by understanding each basic layer, we can add layer upon layer until we see a whole story, a complete picture. This is how easy it is to understand your own life's timing. And what's so cool about this is you can even take it further with the house rulerships, zodiacal releasing, lunar progressions, seeing the 30-year cycles of your life using the moon, and even seeing how your soul is evolving in style, in taste, how you communicate your wants and goals in life using secondary progressions. And that's what I'm teaching you in Trust Your Timeline, my live timing course, which is happening this weekend, the first live round. If you want to get started being able to read your timing in your life and start to make your own predictions using astrology, the magic and power of working with the heavens and working with the cosmos, definitely check out my course down below. The link is in the description. So many of my students, we have 434 students enrolled in Trust Your Timeline, and the reviews are amazing. People telling me that they're beginners in astrology and that they've learned this so easily, so fast, because I'm able to describe it in a way that makes sense, that breaks things down step by step. And even for those that are already experts, intermediate astrologers, they also have gotten so much out of the live calls with me and the intermediate and advanced techniques that I'm teaching you. So if you want to get started doing this yourself, click the link in the description to Trust Your Timeline. Doors will be closing very soon. All right, let's get back into the vlog. I gotta show you around Paris. So I've given you a few little examples. Let's do a pop quiz. When do you think would be a period of a couple of years where you might be having a more challenging time emotionally? Feeling restricted, feeling stuck, maybe having some sort of self-doubt, or having problems with your family or your living situation. Now let's think about that for a second. Well, challenge, restriction would be Saturn, delays, feeling a little heavy, depressed even, or just having challenges in general, right? What planet do you think Saturn would hit in your natal chart to forecast to you that you might be going through a really emotionally difficult time for a few years, or having issues with your parents, your family, or your living situation? What planet do you think represents those things? I'll give you a second. People are looking at me. Oh well. You guys might be hearing a little bit of the French ambulances. Have you gotten it yet? Let's see. What do you think it would be? That's right. Saturn transiting your moon. People who have Saturn transiting their moon, difficult time. Like Britney Spears during the conservatorship, or Kendrick Lamar. In the last few years, he's been going through this feud with Drake. Saturn's going over his moon. I mean, he could have all the accomplishments and success in his career as he wants, but what's going on underneath? Is he having a difficult time emotionally? Is he having issues with family or his living situation not doing so great? There's so much we don't know with public figures. You know, these public figures, they're not telling us their details of their lives, so we don't know what's going on emotionally. But that's an example of Saturn transiting the moon. One of the hardest transits to be going through. Saturn opposing the moon as well is quite challenging. But Saturn on the moon, transiting the moon, conjunct the moon, yeah, that one's a tricky one. So that's just another example of how to time your life using astrology. Here's another transit example. What transit in astrology do you think would represent moving homes? Either moving abroad or moving homes, like your living situation. I'll give you a second. Actually, first let's start with the basic question. What planet in astrology rules home and family? I'll give you a second to think about it. The moon. The moon rules home and family. So what planets do you think transiting the moon would bring about a change in living situation or the desire to expand and move and leave your home? What transits do you think would bring that up? So there's a couple of them. First, Jupiter on the moon is huge. So many of my clients this year have their moon in Gemini, and so many of them have been wanting to move when Jupiter's been transiting right over their moon. So that's a big one, Jupiter on moon transit. Another big one is Saturn on moon. Saturn transiting the moon is a hard transit, one of the most tricky, difficult transits. However, it does represent feeling stuck with where you live, feeling stuck with responsibilities, obligations, duties, and just like this heaviness around your home and family life, whether you're taking care of a parent or there's like a lot going on with your home, your renovations, your family, feeling stuck where you live. And that's another thing, the fourth house. The fourth house in astrology is your home and your family and your living situation. And the IC point is a very sensitive degree. When Saturn is transiting either the fourth house, the IC, or on your moon, because the moon obviously represents home and family, those are huge transits in life when you either want to move, you want to change your living situation, you feel stuck where you live, or you're feeling called to get up and go and leave. So those are big transits. Jupiter on the moon, Saturn transiting the fourth, and Saturn transiting the IC. Now, in terms of relocating abroad, the fourth house can absolutely deal with that. Like if you have Saturn transiting the fourth, moving abroad, it's a big thing with that. But also the ninth house of international foreign travel, visas, passports, things like that, that's ninth house. And so having Saturn in the ninth house, Jupiter in the ninth house, those are also big transits and times in life when you're going to be wanting to move abroad. Why is this? Let me break it down for you really simply. The ninth house represents foreign travel. The ninth house represents passports, visas, going abroad, right? Having a long transit like Jupiter, expansion and growth in your life, or Saturn, which is about, a lot of work that you're putting towards something in your life, having it go through the fourth or the ninth, those areas, those sectors of the chart are going to bring about the themes because those are the houses that represent things like either moving abroad to a different country or your home and your family life. Same with the IC angle. So you see how it's really not as difficult as you might think. Like it's just about knowing these individual pieces and then putting them together like a mathematical equation. It's really actually simple. Let me show you another one. Pop quiz number 2. What transit do you think would be a time in life when you might be rethinking your career or feeling confused and hazy and unsure and doubting yourself? Maybe doubting your goals, feeling a lack of clarity in terms of what you want to achieve, your goals in life, and maybe even the work that you want to be doing. Maybe there's an abrupt career change or a realization that what you wanted is not actually what it seemed. What kind of transit do you think this would involve? What planet is involved in this kind of transit? I'll give you a second. Notice the keywords I used. Confusion, lack of clarity, Neptune. Neptune transits bring those things. So when Neptune's transiting your sun, Neptune transiting over your Saturn, those can be times when this is coming up in your life. Neptune being confusion, tiredness even, and the sun being your willpower, your goals, your will, your energy, your life force, and also like what do you want to accomplish in your life? Saturn being your work and responsibilities. When Neptune's going over these points, there can definitely be a lot of confusion about these themes. So that's just another example. Very easy, very simple, not at all complicated. It's all about knowing what the planets mean and knowing what the houses mean, and then being able to say, okay, if this planet means this, and this planet means this, if this planet comes to this planet, what does that mean? Bada bing, bada boom, we are done. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, that's too corny. I'm gonna go now. since we've talked about the moon representing our emotional nourishment, safety, security, what do we need for self-care? By the way, if you haven't checked out my free blog post all about the moon and how you can find what you need for emotional fulfillment and self-care, check out my blog post down below. I'll include it in the link in the description. But when it comes to the moon also represents our home and our family. So speaking of moving, we've talked about Saturn, and we've talked about Saturn on the moon transits, and we've talked about Jupiter on the moon transits. Jupiter can represent a really nice, expansive, hopeful, exciting time for moving and, exploring, what do you seek to aspire, to dream of? What do you need for happiness? That Jupiter moon energy is really magical. But what about a planet that might represent some sort of unexpected chaos or disruption or restlessness or a feeling of not feeling settled in your situation in life, specifically with your home and living situation? So for this next question on the pop quiz, what transiting planet hitting your moon do you think would represent you feeling restless or like there's a sudden unexpected move that you have to make, or that you're moving homes a lot? I'll give you a hint. My husband went through this in 2020 to 2022, Taurus moon. So if given that little hint to you, given those key words, what transit do you think that would be? What transit do you think that would be? I'll give you a second. What a beautiful view, isn't it? Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow. You got it. Uranus transits. Uranus represents unexpected things, chaos, disruption, or something like unexpectedly happening. Maybe you feeling antsy or rebellious or just kind of electrical in nature, right? Lightning kind of energy is Uranus. And so when Uranus is going over your moon, you might find that you're moving around a lot, or you're not really settled where you live. Maybe you move, but then you have to move again for some reason, or just not really feeling your home place. It's why I always recommend Uranus on the IC is not the easiest place to live when it comes to astrocartography. It's a tough one, but I'm getting ahead of myself. If you got Uranus on moon, you're correct. When it comes to moving and unexpected moves, Uranus on moon is a big one. Same with Uranus transiting the IC, of course, too. The IC degree representing your home and your family. Obviously, Uranus, the planet of disruption, chaos, and unexpected things, crossing over your IC point of home and family would absolutely bring these things too. But you see what I mean? Giving you a couple examples here. Let's continue on. Okay, it's time for a Chanel break. Fun fact, I've never actually bought anything at Chanel, although I've been in this store a million times. Your Taurus girl loves a nice environment. If I have to go to the bathroom, I go to a nice store. I go to a Ritz-Carlton. I find my local Chanel, Dior, Ritz-Carlton, and I go to the bathroom there. Hello. I just went into a store and the guy was like so mesmerized by me when I walked into the store. He was just like, hello, like, oh my gosh. And he said I was so vibrant, which is something I often get every time I go shopping or I go around the city. Even like at the coffee shop, I'll go to the coffee shop and the barista will be like, you're just sunshine, you're just light. And I'm like, I know, it's because you're seeing Jupiter on the ascendant. In my mind, it's like, it doesn't matter how I'm feeling that day. It doesn't matter if I'm feeling vibrant or not. You're seeing Jupiter on the ascendant. Like, I am Jupiter on the ascendant. And this is why noting what planets you have conjunct your ascendant is really important. Like, a lot of people are shocked when I tell them I'm a Scorpio rising. But it's like, yeah, I'm a Scorpio rising, but I have Jupiter on the ascendant. Like, the vibe completely changes. The vibe completely shifts. You've got to look at those planets on your ascendant because those planets are telling more to the story. Like, you could be an Aries rising, but have the moon on the ascendant, and it just gives you this more empathetic, emotional, sensitive vibe, even though you're an Aries rising. Does that make sense? So I always say, your rising sign, your ascendant is the filter as to which you see life, right? It's the point of view, but it's also like how you approach the world, your attitude, how you see the world. It's also your physical body. But any planets that are conjunct your ascendant within 10 degrees are especially noteworthy. 10 degrees is the orb that I use for planets conjunct angles like that. Your Venus is your aesthetic. It's your style. It's like what you're attracted to, what you value. Like me, I love rings and bracelets and jangly bracelets all over my hands. Mercury rules the hands, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, where my Venus is. And also your midheaven is how the public sees you, right? People on social media, people that follow me, you guys on YouTube watching my videos, you're seeing so much Leo energy, Leo moon on the midheaven, because that's what the public sees. But I am a Scorpio, and when people meet me, they immediately get Scorpio vibes. Like, I'm observant, I'm more quiet than you would imagine, I'm kind of paying attention to everything, I'm very perceptive, I'm very intuitive, I can see through everything. I'm a little intense and maybe a little bit intimidating sometimes when you're talking to me, but like, there's a warmth there, and there's a happiness and an excitement and enthusiasm because Jupiter is also there on my ascendant. So this is just a little bit of an example of why, you know, how the public sees you versus who you are and how you see life. And any planets that are conjunct your ascendant are really important. And same with style. People are always shocked when I tell them I'm a freaking Scorpio rising. I mean, my whole wardrobe is pink, right? My whole entire wardrobe is pink. It's not Scorpio rising energy. Scorpio rising is not pink. But my Jupiter's on the ascendant, and my Venus is in Gemini, and I have a Leo moon on the midheaven, right? There's so much more to it. So there's a lot more to astrology than you'd think. All right, I am here at Printemps, at the top of Printemps on the 8th floor here in Paris. You can find a ton of really cool restaurants, cafes, boulangeries, tons of little kiosks, little different types of food you can get. And I just met up with the honey, Alex. You guys know Alex. He's the guy that's answering all my emails, scheduling a podcast, scheduling reschedules for the readings, my all the things, the admin stuff. You're talking to him, my honey of 10 years. And we're here celebrating because Alex just finished his last day teaching at his university in Amiens. It's the final day. You're going to be there, right?
Final day, I'm done. I feel really good. I'm so tired of traveling there and back.
Yeah, we've been doing long distance for a long time, since September.
I'm so excited to properly live in our home.
Yeah.
Just live there.
I know, it feels like you haven't fully lived in our home yet until now.
Really. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I lived in it a little bit in December.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. But now the weather's going to be amazing. So we're just going to go outside and have bikes and going to cook every night in a wonderful kitchen. And go in the living room. And so excited.
Alex has been commuting 4 days a week, Monday to end of day Thursday. He's been living in Amiens. And in the first semester, I think it was Monday to Friday. So Monday to Friday, and then this semester Monday to Thursday. Sunday to Friday. So we've been apart. We have not really lived together. So we're finally going to live together for the first time since September. I've hated his job for taking him away from me. Never again.
They were very nice, but I can't.
Never again. Never again. We're never doing that again. It was too hard for me, surprisingly. So we're having dinner here in Breton, and I'll show you what I got. This tofu. I have no idea what this looks weird, but
it's curry.
Oh, it's curry.
It's
Okay.
Japanese curry.
Okay. Well, the tofu looks really damn good. And then Alex got this salad.
Salad, Caesar salad with smoked trout. I think, or salmon.
Nice.